A very, very long time ago, in the great blue ocean, there were two beautiful islands that lay close to each other. But they might as well have been a million miles apart, because the people on them never spoke. They only frowned and worried. The first island was Aethel.
Aethel was the greenest place you could ever imagine. Tall, ancient trees with bark like wrinkly elephant knees grew everywhere, heavy with glowing, sweet fruits that tasted like sunshine. Rivers of clear, cold water tumbled down mountains covered in velvety moss. The people of Aethel were called the Sun Dwellers. They were excellent gardeners, weavers of cloth, and storytellers. They wore bright clothes in colors of the sunset, orange, red, and yellow, and their king was King Eldrin the Gentle.
King Eldrin was a kind man with soft eyes and a quiet voice. He loved his island more than anything. He loved the gentle rain and the sound of the wind sighing through the great fruit trees. But King Eldrin was also very worried. Every day, he looked across the glittering water at the other island, Porth. The second island was Porth. Porth was a world of rock, wave, and wind. It was not green like Aethel. Porth was slate gray and rich brown. Great cliffs plunged into the sea, and the beaches were lined not with sand, but with smooth, colorful pebbles and shiny stones that looked like buried jewels. The people of Porth were called the Sea Sons. They were amazing fishers, boat builders, and stone carvers. They wore clothes made from thick, durable fabrics in colors of the deep ocean, blue, teal, and navy. And their king was King Bron the Bold. King Bron was a strong man with a booming laugh and shoulders like a stone wall. He loved the rough waves and the deep, mysterious sea. But King Bron was also very worried. Every day he looked across the restless water at the other island, Aethel. Why were these two good kings and their happy people so worried? They were worried because of a tiny, lonely spot of land that lay exactly halfway between them. It was called the Sunken Crescent. The Sunken Crescent was not beautiful. It was just a crescent of pure white sand, too small for trees and too low for houses. It was often flooded when the tide was high. But the Sea Sons believed the Sunken Crescent belonged to Porth because the deepest, best fishing waters wrapped around it. And the Sun Dwellers believed the Sunken Crescent belonged to Aethel because it was where their friendly sea merds often rested on long flights. To the Sun Dwellers, the Sea Sons were rough and scary. To the Sea Sons, the Sun Dwellers were soft and sneaky. They are always looking at our fishing waters.
They are always trying to steal our lovely seabirds.
They are always trying to steal our lovely seabirds, King Eldrin would whisper nervously to his gardeners.
Looking at our
and so
waters.
The worry grew bigger and heavier than the mountains themselves. One year, a very bad thing happened. The great storm came. It roared for 3 days, tossing the sea like a kite in the air. When the storm finally went away, both Aethel and Porth found themselves in trouble. On Aethel, the beautiful fruit trees were soaked with salt water and could not grow properly anymore. The Sun Dwellers had plenty of food, but their strong, colorful weaving dyes, which came from special tree sap, were all gone. They had nothing to color their clothes or flags. On Porth, the waves had crashed so hard that the main fishing harbor was destroyed. The Sea Sons had all the fish they could eat, but their best fishing boats needed new, tough ropes that could only be made from the fibers of the strong Aethel trees. Without those ropes, they couldn't launch the big boats to catch the big fish. Both kings looked at their problems.
We have the rope material they need, but we have no dye to sell, and our island is looking quite grey. They have the rope fibers we need, but if we ask them for trade, they will think we are weak. They will demand we give them the Sunken Crescent.
King Bron, being bold, was the first to act. I will not let Aethel think we are weak,
I will
he
not
declared.
let Aethel think
We
we are
will
weak.
not ask
Prepare
them
the
for
boats.
anything.
We will go to the
take
Sunken
the
Crescent and
Sunken
build a
Crescent
stone
for
wall
good,
around it.
and then we will have 2 harbors to fish from, even if one is just sand. Prepare the boats. We will go to the Sunken Crescent and build a stone wall around it.
Gather the people. We will go to the Sunken Crescent and plant our strongest flag there to show it is ours.
Gather the people. We will go to the Sunken Crescent and plant our biggest, strongest flag there to show it is ours.
The plan was not to have a big battle with swords. The plan was to race the other island, get to the little sandbar first, and plant their symbols so firmly that the other side would go home disappointed. The next morning, the sun dwellers of Aethel prepared to sail. They had many small, fast boats made of light, smooth wood. They carried big shovels, coils of rope, and their tallest flagpole, painted a bright, cheerful yellow. The king's advisor, Fen, saw the worried look on King Eldrin's face. "Your Majesty," Fen said softly, "must we do this? Perhaps we could offer them some fruit in exchange for their lovely gray stones to repair our roads." King Eldrin shook his head. No, Fen. They want the Sunken Crescent.
They always want it.
Always want
We must
it.
be strong.
We must be strong. At the same time, the sea sons of Porth prepared to sail. They had 3 big, sturdy barges made of dark, heavy wood. They carried huge
Secure
bags
those ropes.
of rough
We
gray
cast off now.
stones,
Aye,
long
King
metal
Bron.
tools, and their biggest, loudest bronze horn.
My king, must we do this? Perhaps we could offer them some shiny pebbles in exchange for their wonderful fruit dye.
No, Thara. They want the Sunken Crescent. They always want it. We must be bold.
And so, at the exact same moment, both King Eldrin and King Bron gave the order. The fast Aethel boats and the heavy Porth barges pushed off from their shores and raced toward the tiny, lonely crescent of land, the Sunken Crescent. It was an hour's sail. When both fleets saw the small sandbar ahead, they started shouting. "Porth is here! Go back, sun dwellers!" yelled the sea sons. "Aethel first! You stop right there, sea sons!" cried the sun dwellers.
King Eldrin's faster boats arrived first. His people immediately started to dig a hole for their yellow flagpole, but before they could even get the hole half dug, King Bron's strong barges arrived. The sea sons began throwing big rough stones onto the sand to start building their wall. King Eldrin stood on the wet sand, his face pale beneath his bright yellow hat. King Bron jumped off his barge, his face red beneath his navy cloak. They stood 10 feet apart, staring at each other. But then, King Eldrin looked at King Bron, and he saw something that surprised him. King Bron was not roaring or looking bold. He looked tired. He looked hot. He looked exactly as worried as King Eldrin felt. And King Bron looked at King Eldrin, and he saw something that surprised him. King Eldrin was not whispering or looking sneaky. He looked sad. His bright yellow hat was crooked, and a smudge of dirt was on his gentle face. They both stopped shouting at the exact same time. The noise of digging and thumping kept going for a minute, until finally King Bron raised his hand. "Stop!" he commanded, his voice tired. "Stop!" King Eldrin echoed, his voice just a soft puff of air. A great, heavy silence fell over the Sunken Crescent. No digging, no thumping, just the little sound of the waves whispering on the shore.
Why? Why do we need this tiny piece of wet sand?
I have a whole mountain of fruit and ancient trees. Why are we fighting over this?
I have cliffs full of shiny stones and the best fishing waters in the world. Why are we fighting over this?
King Bron let out a big, booming laugh, but this time it was a happy sound, a sound of relief. "We are 2 big fools," King Bron declared. King Eldrin chuckled, a gentle, light sound like a bell.
Fools.
"We are 2 magnificent fools," King Eldrin agreed. Look at us. We have what the other needs, and we are wasting our time arguing over a place that barely exists when the tide comes in.
This crescent cannot be yours or mine, Bron. It must be shared.
Eldrin, I believe you are right. To everyone.
They decided to clean up the sandbar. They packed away the yellow flag and they packed away the gray stones. They did not build a wall, they built a pier. They built a big, strong pier that reached out from the Sunken Crescent and was wide enough for many boats to dock. King Bron's sea sons used their skills to carve the great stone supports, and King Eldrin's sun dwellers used their skills to weave the strong ropes and build the smooth wooden deck. That tiny spot of land became the great market of the Sunken
The grey
Crescent.
stones truly complete the garden, my friend.
And the red flags signal a new era of peace between our islands.